Welcome to Wild, Women in Lending Determined to Make an Impact. I'm your host, Robyn LaVassaur. They say our biggest fear isn't being inadequate, it's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to Wild with Robyn LaVassaur. This week's episode, we are going to talk about the consumer's mindset. When you think about being a consumer, well, in business, I think we often think about who our consumer is. And one of the things that just absolutely moved the dial for me in my business was starting to see myself as the consumer that I'm trying to please. Have you ever done a loan for yourself in our business, right? Have you done an actual loan for yourself or been the client and thought about what that experience felt like all the way through? I will tell you what, when you put yourself in the consumer role, everything changes and you start to really understand the nuances of the process, the experience, the anxiety, the nervousness, the inconvenience, the frustration. In lending, I always tell clients really upfront, I set the expectation that, hey, this is going to feel borderline offensive because it actually does, right? Someone is questioning the authenticity of your word by forcing you to document everything on paper as the consumer. And so how does that feel? Once I was a consumer enough times, especially in lending, it absolutely shifted the way that I ran my own business. And so one of the very best ways to be a great business is to put yourself in the role of the consumer. You see those undercover shows on TV where someone's like coming in and being the undercover employee or the undercover consumer, if you will, client of a business. Man, what a different perspective than being the owner or the leader or the loan officer, if you will, of that business. And so how often do you put yourself in a consumer's mindset? And how often do you even walk through all of your systems? Hey, if I were to dial in right now on my own phone system, what does the consumer hear? One who's answering the phone. If it's an automated system, what are they hearing? How easy is it for me to get to the next steps? What's the barrier entry to accessing what I want? You think about what Amazon did in general, and is what they have done is create the lowest barrier entry to receive the needed item on hand. And they made it so fast. And I think initially people put a lot of walls up and were like, oh, I'm going to go to the store. I don't want to purchase online. And little by little, Amazon got faster, better, more diverse. And pretty soon you can't help but immediately go, even for something that might be right down the road at the store, onto Amazon and think, oh, that'll be here in 24, 48 hours. Like press go, and it's already paid for and done. That was so easy. Well, lending is hard. And thank goodness that lending is hard. But we, one, have to set expectations for the consumer. And two, there are definitely efficiencies and experiences that can be created for the consumer that doesn't change necessarily that doing a loan, making the biggest purchase of your life should be a bit challenging, but that we are setting the stage and that we understand exactly the steps that they need to go through. I understand what links they have to click. I understand how to log into that portal. I understand how they would upload documents if that's what they're doing. And it is such a big miss when people don't, when we as loan officers, leaders, business owners, if you will, don't understand what our clients experience. So do yourself a favor. If you're in an office, brick and mortar, I challenge you to walk into the office with a consumer's mindset. How are you greeted? Where do your eyes go? What's the visual resume of the environment that you're walking into? If you had to sit in the lobby and wait for a minute as a consumer, what is given to you that makes it a transaction versus an experience? Sterile versus potentially customized. As you walk into somebody's office, what does that look like as the consumer? What's the environment feel like? How do they gather information? What did you ask them to provide? How much time will it potentially take them to provide all that information? Did we set the proper expectation? There are so many pieces to this. What can they expect? during the process. I can tell you, when you think about getting onto an airplane, let's just think about this from a travel standpoint as a metaphor for a minute. As you're getting onto an airplane, anytime you sit down, the pilot comes on, and within a matter of seconds, not only are they introducing themselves, they're talking about where the flight crew's based out of. They talk about what you're about to experience, where you are headed, and what it's going to be like potentially when you get there. So think about that for a minute. Imagine if they came on and just said, hey guys, hope we have a great flight today. And all of a sudden you're in the air and there's massive amounts of turbulence. You're filling that narrative gap as the consumer, as the client, if you will, with, is something wrong? Is the plane broken? Are we going to die? There could be so many things that we're thinking in that moment when you think about sitting there with unexpected news. Unexpected news. Now, even when the pilot says it at the very beginning, they might say, hey, we're likely going to hit some bumps today. We're going to ask you to stay seated and in your seatbelt, and we might skip the beverage service for the safety of everyone. We plan on hitting a storm here, or we're going to work around whatever it is they're bringing it up. And then if an update happens, let's say they initially said smooth sailing and all of a sudden there's bumps, they don't try to hide the bumps. They get online and say, hey, we're experiencing some unexpected turbulence. We should have smooth skies, if you will, within the next 3 to 5 minutes or the next 15 minutes. They're letting you know what comes next and if this is normal. They're not letting you guess. And so there's no difference in what we are doing. If you really think about that metaphorically, if you set the stage. Now, if we tell people that it is so fun to go house shopping and it's amazing to do a home loan, and this is going to be easy or fantastic, we are literally lying. You will never find a pilot that is about to head into possibly a rocky flight tell you this is going to be smooth all day today. Oh, sorry about that. It actually wasn't, but I couldn't help it. It was somebody else's fault, right? They don't ever do that. They're always like, hey, we could expect this, right? Oh, here's what's happening now. You think about going into a surgery with a doctor. The doctor never says, hey, this is going to be easy. You're not going to feel a thing. You'll wake up, no pain whatsoever, no issues when you get home. Nope. They set up all of these things that are probably even cushioned because they want you, the consumer, if you will, to understand. And so I think a lot of people think that like catering and taking care of clients is pretending that everything is perfect, giving a social media lifestyle, if you will, as an example of what it's going to be like to work with them. And they think that's why people would choose to work with you. I don't know about you guys, but I don't ever want somebody to tell me something that isn't going to actually happen. I would like them to set a tone of, hey, here's the low bar and here's where I plan on actually landing, and that's better than the bar I just set, the expectations that are in your mind. And that, my friends, in terms of a consumer consumption, right? They're consuming your business. It is the game changer that I missed for so many years. And so there's that side of actually experiencing. So hear me, actually experiencing the loan experience and what I can expect as the consumer. Again, visually, verbally, in the explanation of emails. How often do you inspect? If you have multiple people working for you, if you have a processor involved in your business, if you have a receptionist involved, how frequently are you inspecting what you expect to be happening? How often do you know, right? Are you able to see how those emails look? Do you look at them on occasion that somebody else is sending out, right? Do you look at the CRM and how things flow out to the client pre getting into contract, in contract, post getting into contract? Have you looked at everything from a consumer perspective? All of that makes a major difference. The other space where you want to consume as a consumer is the actual prospecting. Now, this is interesting, right? Because we often say, hey, I don't want to be a salesperson, and yet we all are in essentially 100% commission sales in the lending and real estate business. And so as a consumer, you think about what a consumer really does want and where your level of influence with a consumer goes up or down. And I always talk about this when I'm coaching with people. I'll talk to them and I'll say, let's set an example. So let's say that you decided to do a mailer even with a real estate agent, you guys did a joint mailer and you spent money to send it out, we'll call it to a neighborhood of 1,000 people. If you yourself as a consumer are coming home to mail and you open your mailbox and you get it out and you bring it inside on the counter and there are a bunch of, I don't know, call it, 5x7, whatever the, sizes of a postcard or anything else. And yes, it looks nice and those things. Even if you know the person, what are the odds that you look at it and if you don't have a need for that service in your mind right then and there, that you actually call off of it or take action from something you get in the mail? I would challenge that it's probably pretty darn low. At least it is for me as a consumer. So I think about that. It's not that you should never mail. It's not that you shouldn't keep in touch that way. It's that it's a very low level of influence unless by chance you're hitting somebody who has a need for that right then and there. Let's go to the next level of influence. You get an automated email, automated text where you can tell it's not personalized or customized, but simply a drip, if you will. As a consumer, what do you do with it? How quickly, again, if you have no need for that, how quickly do you scroll on by if you're on social media? Do you delete if it's in your email? Do you delete and possibly hit opt out or stop if it's on your text message? How quickly do you disregard? The answer is probably pretty quickly. So again, maybe a little higher level of influence than the actual mail, but not a whole lot different, right? Not a whole lot different. So go to the next level of consumption. Hey, all of a sudden somebody's sending me a more personalized email, a personalized text message, a personalized handwritten letter, right? Something that's truly personalized and it feels like, hey, this was for Robyn. Now all of a sudden, okay, I might be paying a little more attention. In fact, I might even give a response because it's more personalized. Go to the next level. Somebody sends a video to you, a true video, a video of them. I'd probably open it and watch it. If somebody sent me, it doesn't happen very frequently, somebody sent me a video or a voice text or a voicemail, I would listen, I would watch, there would be something that would grab my attention for that moment. I'm not sure I would respond depending on what it said, but it would at least grab my attention for a minute, and I would probably give it the 1 minute or that 45 seconds, however long it was, amount of time to give it the attention. It would stick with me for a little bit for sure. Okay, next level. Somebody calls me and asks me to call them back. I'd likely call them back, right? Unless they said there was no need and gave me all the information on the voicemail. Somebody calls me and I actually answer, even closer now to influence, right? To true influence, because now we're having a conversation that is two ways. It's not just me taking in the information. It's me taking in information from somebody, but them asking me information that has to do with me. My level of influence is up. As a loan officer, as a consumer, I am being potentially influenced or giving information. The very last one, right? Well, I guess there's two more. When you think about going to, face-to-face, I don't think there's anything more powerful when you're truly trying to influence somebody than being close to them, right? To actually having a belly-to-belly, no distance, like face-to-face appointment. So if that's your strongest level of influence, face-to-face, then it goes to video, Zoom call, Teams call, different things where you can be on screen. Then it works its way down the list that I just gave you. When you are in sales and you are trying to prospect additional business, if you yourself don't think about the levels that you are influenced as a consumer, then you are likely not influencing your clients, your potential clients, your prospecting, your leads, your referral sources in the appropriate ways. You're probably doing it in the most comfortable and the safest ways rather than the highest results, right? And the things that actually make you uncomfortable, which is truly that phone call, that true live screen conversation, or even better yet, the belly to belly. And so I would challenge you in all areas of your business, whether it is from a prospecting standpoint, or it's from an actual experience, or it's from a past client, right, post-mortem experience for a consumer. How does that survey feel? How do those invites to additional client events feel? How did the gifting feel for me? How did the 30-day, if you're even making it, payment call feel, right? Like all of the different things that you are going to add or subtract from your business. I want you to look at it two ways. One, from the perspective of these are the things that I need to do potentially as a loan officer. But then how would it feel if I put myself on the other side of the desk? How does it feel if I was the actual client? And am I looking at it through their lens as well? And if you look at it from their lens, I promise you, your business will not only grow, but it will flourish and you will do great things ahead. We'll see you on the next episode.